At exactly 2:14 that afternoon, my mother handed me a tiny wooden birdhouse with a satin ribbon tied around it. Everyone applauded. Then my father placed a thick leather folder into my younger brother's hands. The applause became louder. Someone uncorked champagne. A photographer shouted, "Closer together!" My brother smiled for the cameras. I couldn't, because I already knew what was inside that folder. The deed. The entire Hayes Horse Ranch. The place I had devoted nearly half my life to. The place where I'd learned to walk beside foals before I could even ride one. The place I believed I'd someday protect. And my parents had just given it away, while handing me something that could fit inside a cardboard box. Welcome to Silent Grudge Stories, where family secrets finally come to light, and those everyone underestimated finally have a voice. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I always love seeing how far these stories travel. And if you've ever wondered what happens when the person everyone underestimated finally stops staying silent, make sure to subscribe. Because this story is only beginning. Rose looked directly into my eyes. This seemed more appropriate for you. She gently lifted the birdhouse so everyone could admire it. A little house, for someone who's always dreamed too small. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Not loud, not cruel enough to make anyone uncomfortable. Just enough to remind me that no one intended to defend me. Logan opened the folder. He didn't even look at the papers. Instead, he raised them over his head like a trophy. My ranch. The words echoed through the barn. Not a ranch. Not the family ranch. Mine. Another round of applause. My father wrapped an arm around his shoulders. I always knew which one of my children was born to lead. I felt dozens of eyes turn toward me, waiting, almost hoping I would cry, or scream, or beg. Instead, I picked up the little birdhouse with both hands. It was surprisingly heavy, much heavier than it should have been. For one brief second, I almost asked why. But then I looked around. The musicians, the catered tables, the giant banner that read, "The next generation of Hayes Horse Ranch." Not a single photograph anywhere included me. Not one. I had spent 15 years waking before sunrise, cleaning stalls, training difficult horses, helping Maras deliver foals through freezing nights, sleeping in the stable office more times than I could count. And somehow, my own family had rewritten history, as if none of it had ever happened. Before I tell you what happened next, I placed the birdhouse back into its box. Rose watched me carefully. "Nothing to say?" I smiled. "No." Her smile faded for just a fraction of a second. She had expected a scene. She wanted one. She wanted everyone there to remember me as the bitter daughter who couldn't be happy for her brother. I wasn't going to give her that. Douglas stepped forward. "You should congratulate Logan." "I already have." "When?" "I spent 15 years making this place successful enough to be worth inheriting." The silence lasted only a heartbeat. Then Logan laughed. Still dramatic. He leaned closer so only I could hear. "Don't worry. I'll leave you enough work cleaning stalls if you ever need a job." He walked away before I answered. The photographer called everyone together again. "Chelsea," Rose said without even looking at me, "would you mind stepping out of the frame? We'd like one with just the owners." Owners? Plural. My parents. Logan. There had never been room for me. Not really. I stepped aside. The camera flashed again and again. Every smile looked perfect. Every laugh sounded rehearsed. I watched strangers congratulate my brother for accomplishments that belonged to dozens of people, including me. One of the stable hands lowered his head when our eyes met. He couldn't even pretend this felt right. Another quietly walked away before the speeches started. No one interrupted. No one argued. The injustice had become so normal. People had simply learned to survive around it. Douglas climbed onto the small wooden stage they'd built near the training arena. "I've always believed leadership can't be taught. It has to be born into someone." He placed a hand on Logan's shoulder. "My son has that gift." I almost laughed. Logan couldn't remember half the horses' names. Last winter he'd accidentally left 3 paddock gates open because he thought someone else would close them. 2 Maras had wandered onto the highway. I'd spent 6 hours finding them in the freezing rain. He never even apologized. But none of that mattered today. Perception mattered. The story my parents had told everyone mattered. Reality didn't. The speeches finally ended. Music started again. People formed small groups around the tables. I quietly carried the birdhouse toward my truck. No one stopped me. No one asked me to stay. As I opened the passenger door, something inside the little wooden house shifted again. A dull, solid, unexpected sound. Not wood, not empty space. Something else. I frowned. For the first time all afternoon, I actually looked at the gift. The craftsmanship was old, far older than anything my mother would ever buy. There were tiny carved initials underneath the base, almost worn away. I brushed the dust aside with my thumb. 3 letters slowly appeared. H. E. H. I froze. Those weren't my mother's initials. They weren't my father's. And they definitely weren't from any gift shop. Behind me, I heard Logan shouting. Then laughter exploded across the ranch again. I looked back only once. He was giving tours of a place he barely understood, while everyone treated him like a legend. I closed the truck door, started the engine, and drove away. I had no idea that the tiny birdhouse everyone had laughed at would become the only thing my parents would one day beg me to give back. The next morning, I don't go back to the ranch. For the first time in 15 years, my alarm still rings at 5:30. I open my eyes, reach automatically for my boots, then stop. There are no horses waiting for me anymore. No foals needing their morning bottles. No nervous Maras pacing before sunrise. No sick gelding expecting me to notice something everyone else missed. Just silence. It feels wrong. Not because I miss my parents. Because I miss the animals they never deserved. I force myself to put the boots back in the closet. 30 minutes later, my phone rings. Elias. I hesitate, then answer. Chelsea. His voice sounds tired. You should have seen this morning. I close my eyes. I don't think I should. They tried feeding Jasper grain. I sit upright. What? They forgot he can't eat grain anymore. My stomach tightens. Jasper is 23 years old. Every person who has worked there longer than a month knows that. Every single one. Is he all right? I stop them. Relief washes over me. But only for a second. Because Elias continues. They didn't even know which horse they were feeding. Silence. Then he quietly says, I'm sorry. Not because of Jasper. Because he knows exactly what yesterday did to me. I thank him, hang up, and stare at the birdhouse sitting on my kitchen table. I still haven't opened it. Instead, I send out 5 job applications. By noon. For companies reject me. Not because of my experience. Because everyone assumes I'll eventually return to Hayes Ranch. The 5th one doesn't answer. By late afternoon, my savings spreadsheet is open on my laptop. I can survive, maybe 5 months. After that, I'll have to sell my truck. My phone buzzes again. Logan. 1 message. Forgot your toolbox. A photo follows. My old toolbox. Sitting beside the stable dumpster. Underneath it, another message. Thought you want your junk back. I don't reply. I block his number. 5 minutes later, an unknown number calls. Chelsea. A woman's voice. This is Rebecca Quinn, the veterinarian. She still works with several ranches nearby. I heard what happened yesterday. News travels fast. Too fast. I'm sorry. I'll be okay. No. She pauses. I'm sorry for the horses. That sentence hurts more than everything my parents said yesterday. Because she's right. I can rebuild my career. The horses can't choose who owns them. If you hear about anything serious, I whisper, please call me. I will. The call ends. Outside, rain begins tapping against the windows. I finally pick up the birdhouse. It feels even heavier today. I turn it over again. H.E.H. 3 initials. The wood is old. Handmade. Not decorative. Someone actually built this. I press gently against one side. Nothing moves. No hidden compartment. No loose panel. Just solid oak. I shake it again. Something inside slides, then stops. A tiny metallic sound. Not loud, just enough to make me frown. I almost grab a screwdriver. Instead, I stop. For some reason, it doesn't feel like mine to force open. I place it back on the shelf. Maybe one day. Not today. The next 3 days pass quietly. Too quietly. Until Rebecca calls again. Chelsea. Her voice is different this time. What happened? They've started changing everything. I don't answer. She continues anyway. They replaced the feed supplier. Why? Cheaper. My eyes close. They dismissed Miguel. Miguel. 32 years at the ranch. He practically raised half those horses. They fired him. He questioned Logan. Of course he did. And they told him they needed people loyal to the new management. I laugh. It's not because anything is funny. It's because I suddenly understand something. Logan doesn't want experienced people around him. Experienced people expose incompetence. He wants obedience, not knowledge. That afternoon, another message arrives. Not from family. From an old client, Mrs. Evelyn Carter. One of the first people I ever trained horses for. If you're available, I'd rather work with you than Hayes Ranch. I stare at the screen, then smile for the first time all week. Maybe I don't have to replace what I lost. Maybe I build something different. I drive to her property the following morning. It's small, nothing like the ranch. 4 horses, 2 modest barns, a faded wooden fence. No luxury, no giant entrance, no photographers, just people actually caring about animals. Evelyn greets me with a hug. I've been waiting for you. You knew I'd come? I knew your parents made a mistake. Simple. Honest. No pity. She walks me through the property. One mare limps slightly. Another refuses to enter the trailer. A young colt panics whenever someone raises their voice. Problems. Real problems. The kind I know how to solve. By lunchtime, I'm already working. No speeches. No applause. No one calling me the family disappointment. Just dirt on my jeans, hay on my sleeves, and horses slowly beginning to trust me. For the first time, I breathe without feeling crushed. Then my phone vibrates again. Rebecca. I answer immediately. Chelsea. She sounds out of breath. What is it? It's Titan. Everything inside me freezes. Titan. The best stallion Hayes Ranch has ever owned. What happened? They're loading him into a trailer. I grip the phone tighter. Where are they taking him? I don't know. But Chelsea. Her voice breaks. He keeps looking toward the stable. Like he's waiting for you to stop this. I drop the lead rope in my hands. Because deep down, I already know. Logan isn't just changing the ranch anymore. He's starting to sell pieces of its soul. The words don't leave my mouth. They're selling Titan. Rebecca doesn't answer immediately. She doesn't have to. The silence tells me everything. I lean against Evelyn's fence, trying to slow my breathing. Titan isn't just another horse. He was born during the worst winter our county had seen in decades. His mother almost died. I spent 31 straight hours in that stall helping keep both of them alive. I know every scar on his body, every habit, every fear. And now, Logan is treating him like a number on a spreadsheet. When is the trailer leaving? I finally ask. In less than an hour. I look toward my truck. Every instinct tells me to drive there. To stop them. To fight. Then another thought hits me. That's exactly what my parents would expect. They've spent years convincing everyone I can't let go. That without the ranch, I'm nothing. If I drive back now, I become the desperate daughter chasing what they already took. I close my eyes. No. Rebecca sounds surprised. You're not coming. I can't keep rescuing people from their own decisions. After ending the call, I stand there in silence. Evelyn has heard enough to understand. They're making another mistake. They've been making the same mistake for years. She studies me for a moment. Then stop measuring your life by theirs. Those words stay with me long after she walks away. The following week, my days become almost predictable. Wake before sunrise. Feed horses. Train nervous riders. Help with treatments. Repair fences. Go home exhausted. It's honest work. No speeches, no family dinners, no pretending. Little by little, the knot in my chest begins to loosen, until Friday afternoon. A black SUV pulls into Evelyn's property. I recognize it immediately. Hayes Ranch. Logan climbs out wearing spotless boots that have clearly never touched mud. He smiles as if we're old friends. Chelsea. I don't answer. He looks around with exaggerated curiosity. So, this is where you ended up. Evelyn quietly walks the horses toward another paddock, giving us space. Logan laughs. I've seen storage sheds bigger than this place. Still nothing from me. He hates that. He's always hated silence. It gives him nothing to fight. He steps closer. Dad says you're making this difficult. I wasn't aware leaving counted as interference. His smile tightens. You've been talking to people. I talked to horse owners. They're canceling appointments. I shrug. They're free to choose. They're choosing you. For the first time, his confidence slips. Just a little. You need to stop. I don't control anyone. You know exactly what you're doing. I look directly into his eyes. No. You know exactly what you're doing. He opens his mouth, then closes it, because he knows I'm right. A truck arrives behind him. An elderly woman steps out holding a horse trailer registration. She smiles when she sees me. Chelsea, I heard you were working here. She completely ignores Logan. I've been trying to reach Hayes Ranch for 3 days. I need someone to evaluate my mare. Logan immediately interrupts. We can schedule that. The woman turns slowly toward him. No. I asked for Chelsea. His jaw tightens. We still provide the same services. She folds the paperwork in half. No, son. You don't. Then she walks past him and hands me the folder. Just like that. No argument. No drama. A customer simply chooses. Logan watches the entire exchange without saying another word. When she disappears into the barn, he whispers, "This isn't over. It wasn't supposed to start." He leaves, but something has changed. Not inside me. Inside him, for the first time in his life, someone chose me over the Hayes name. 2 weeks later, more trailers begin arriving. Not dozens. Just one, then another, then 3 in the same week. Horse owners aren't looking for luxury. They're looking for someone who actually listens. I never advertise, never ask anyone to leave Hayes Ranch. People simply talk. One recommendation becomes another. Rebecca starts visiting twice a week. Evelyn hires 1 additional stable hand. By the end of the month, every stall is occupied. We improvise temporary paddocks, borrow equipment, work 14-hour days. Everyone is exhausted. No one complains. One evening, as we finish cleaning the barn, Evelyn looks toward the road. You have visitors. 2 expensive pickup trucks stop outside the property. Douglas steps out first. Rose follows. Neither of them looks angry. That worries me more, because my parents are only calm when they want something. Rose walks toward me, wearing the same elegant smile she used at the ceremony, as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't handed me a toy while giving my dream away. She opens her arms. Chelsea, we've all had time to cool down. I don't move. Douglas speaks next. The ranch needs to discuss a business opportunity with you. Business. Not family. Not an apology. Not regret. Business. I glance past them. Both of their trucks are covered in fresh mud. One trailer is empty. The other has broken divider panels hanging loose inside. My stomach sinks. Something happened. Something serious. Before I can ask, Rebecca's pickup races through the entrance. She jumps out before the engine is even off. Her face is completely pale. She looks straight at me, not at my parents. At me. Chelsea. Her voice trembles. 3 horses are down. And Titan. She struggles to breathe. Titan may not survive the night. Rebecca's words hit me like ice water. 3 horses are down. And Titan may not survive the night. Rose immediately turns toward Rebecca. That's enough. Rebecca doesn't even look at her. I'm talking to Chelsea. Douglas steps between us. We've already called another veterinarian. Rebecca folds her arms. The 3rd one today. Silence. She lets the sentence settle. None of them stayed. I look from Rebecca to my parents, then back again. What happened? Douglas answers first. There was an accident. Rebecca shakes her head. No, it wasn't an accident. Another silence. This one heavier. They changed feed suppliers. They ignored the transition schedule. They doubled the grain. They skipped medical records. They worked exhausted horses in 90-degree heat. She looks directly at Douglas. This wasn't bad luck. It was negligence. Rose's jaw tightens. You don't know what you're talking about. I signed the treatment reports. You signed paperwork. I treated the horses. Neither woman raises her voice. They don't need to. The truth is already louder than either of them. Douglas turns back to me. We need you. There it is. Not we miss you. Not we were wrong. Not come home. We need you. I breathe slowly. For what? You know these horses. I used to. Chelsea. His tone changes. The animals don't deserve to suffer because of family disagreements. That almost works. Almost. Because he's right. The horses don't deserve this. But then I remember something. 3 weeks ago, those same horses had watched me leave while my parents applauded Logan as the future of the ranch. They hadn't needed me then. They only need me now, because their perfect son is failing. I look at Rebecca. Can you stabilize them? I can stabilize them, but I can't undo weeks of bad decisions. I nod, then face my parents. Rebecca already has everything she needs. Douglas stares at me. That's your answer? My answer is that the horses deserve professionals. They have one. I gesture toward Rebecca. You've fired everyone else. Rose takes one step closer. This isn't who you are. I almost laugh. No. It finally is. I walk past them. My father grabs my wrist. Not hard. Just enough to stop me. It's the first time he's touched me in months. Chelsea. His voice cracks. I am asking you. Not ordering. Not demanding. Asking. When I was 12, I would have done anything to hear that tone. Now, it changes nothing. I gently pull my arm free. You aren't asking your daughter. You're asking your former employee. And I don't work for Hayes Ranch anymore. I leave. I don't look back. That night, I don't sleep. Not because of my parents. Because of Titan. I know exactly how much pain he's in. I know exactly what Rebecca is trying. Every medication. Every possible complication. At 3:13 in the morning, my phone lights up. Rebecca. I answer immediately. He's alive. I close my eyes. Relief floods through me. But my stomach tightens again. He'll never compete again. The words hang in the darkness. Titan survives. But the champion, everyone admired, is gone forever. I whisper. I'm sorry. So am I. Before hanging up, Rebecca says something unexpected. Chelsea, I need you to hear this. What? I didn't save him. I frown. Then who did? Elias. I sit up. He never left. While everyone else quit. While managers changed. While Logan blamed employees. Elias stayed. Not for Douglas. Not for Rose. Not even for the ranch. For the horses. That old man spent 6 straight hours beside Titan. Holding his head. Keeping him calm. Refusing to let anyone give up. Some heroes. Never asked to be seen. The next morning, a photograph spreads across social media. Titan, lying in his stall. Rebecca kneeling beside him. Elias sitting against the wall with exhaustion written across his face. Within hours, thousands of people share it. Most comments ask the same question. What happened at Hayes Ranch? Then former employees begin speaking. One post becomes 10. 10 become 50. Stories no one had ever dared tell. Corners cut. Experienced workers replaced. Cheap feed. Poor maintenance. Unsafe training. No scandals invented. Just truth. And truth spreads faster than gossip. By afternoon, the local equestrian association announces an emergency welfare inspection. Douglas calls me 6 times. Rose leaves 3 voicemails. Logan sends a single text. Happy now. I delete it without replying. 2 days later, Evelyn walks into the stable carrying a folded newspaper. She places it on the tackroom table. The headline fills half the page. Hayes Ranch withdraws from state championship. Every employee nearby stops working. Nobody says a word, because everyone understands what that headline really means. Hayes Ranch has competed every single year for nearly 4 decades. Missing it is unthinkable. Evelyn looks at me. They've never withdrawn before. I know. She studies my face carefully. I expected you'd be happier. I shake my head. I'm not. What are you? I glance toward the horses grazing peacefully outside. Tired. She smiles softly. No, I don't think that's it. Before I can answer, another truck pulls into the property. Not black, not expensive, just dusty. Practical. A man steps out wearing an old denim jacket. Late 50s. Calm posture. Observant eyes. He doesn't introduce himself immediately. Instead, he watches me working with a nervous mare for several minutes. Only after she's completely relaxed does he speak. I've been looking for the woman who trained Titan. I wipe my hands on my jeans. Who are you? He offers a business card. Victor Nolan. One of the most respected names in competitive horse breeding. His next sentence makes every stable hand stop what they're doing. I don't want to buy your horses. He looks directly at me. I want to build something much bigger. And for the first time since I walked away from my family, the future standing in front of me looks bigger than the past they stole. Victor Nolan doesn't hand me a contract. He doesn't offer a job. He doesn't even shake my hand. Instead, he walks past me, straight toward the paddocks. He studies every horse in complete silence. One, then another, then another. Nearly 10 minutes pass before he finally speaks. Which one worries you the most? Not, which one is the fastest? Not, which one is worth the most? The one that worries me. I point toward a dark bay mare standing alone near the fence. Her. Victor doesn't even look. Why? She isn't eating. I watched her. She pretended. Now he turns toward me. What else? She's protecting her left shoulder. You saw that from here? I heard it. He raises one eyebrow. Heard what? The way she shifted her weight. Silence. Rebecca quietly smiles from across the stable. Victor slowly walks toward the mare. He doesn't touch her. He simply watches. After almost a full minute, he nods. You were right. Rebecca looks surprised. So she really is injured? Victor shakes his head. No. She's in pain. Those aren't always the same thing. Chelsea is already walking toward the mare before anyone says another word. She kneels beside her, runs one hand gently beneath the neck. Waits. Doesn't rush. The mare exhales. One slow, heavy breath. Chelsea smiles. There you are. Victor watches everything. Every movement. Every pause. Every decision. Only after the examination is finished does he speak again. You never force them. Chelsea stands. They're stronger than I am. So, I have to convince them. Victor nods once, then leaves. No explanation. No goodbye. No business card. Nothing. Rebecca looks completely confused. That's it, I guess. What did he want? I honestly don't know. 3 days pass. Nothing. Then another week. Still nothing. Chelsea almost convinces herself she imagined the entire encounter. Until another trailer arrives. Different driver. Different horses. Same destination. Victor steps out again. This time, he isn't alone. Behind him stand 3 investors, all dressed like people who have never stepped inside a stable before. Victor points toward Chelsea. Watch. That's all he says. For the next 2 hours, Chelsea works exactly as she always does. No speeches. No performance. No trying to impress anyone. She calms a frightened colt. Adjusts a saddle that has been hurting another horse for months. Teaches a nervous teenage rider how to breathe before mounting. One small problem after another. One horse after another. When the last lesson ends, Victor finally approaches. How many horses can you handle? Chelsea shrugs. Depends. On what? Whether people care more about appearances or results? One of the investors laughs quietly. Victor doesn't. What if appearances disappear tomorrow? They usually do. Another silence, long enough to become uncomfortable. Finally, Victor looks at the investors. I've seen enough. They leave. Again, without explaining anything. That evening, Rebecca drops 2 coffees onto the tack room table. I looked him up. Chelsea laughs. Of course you did. You have no idea who keeps visiting you. I know he's respected. Chelsea. Rebecca lowers her voice. He owns training facilities in 4 states. Chelsea stops drinking. What? He supplies Olympic riders. Silence. He rarely leaves his own properties. Then why is he here? Rebecca looks toward the window. I don't think he's looking at the horses. I think he's studying you. Meanwhile, Hayes Ranch continues falling apart. Douglas starts offering massive discounts. Almost no one accepts. Rose begins calling former clients personally. Several never return her calls. Logan posts expensive promotional videos online. Comments are disabled after only 6 hours. Someone leaks another inspection report. 2 more safety violations. 1 breeding contract canceled. Another trainer resigns. Every week, another piece of the family's reputation disappears. Late one afternoon, Chelsea finishes cleaning equipment when Evelyn walks into the barn, carrying a folded envelope. This came for you. No return address. Chelsea opens it carefully. Inside, there's only a single sheet of paper. No signature. No greeting. Just 1 sentence. Some people inherit land. Others earn a legacy. Decide which one you want. She turns the page over. Nothing. No clue. No explanation. Rebecca frowns. Victor. Maybe. Evelyn studies the paper. I don't think so. Why? Because people like him never tell you what test you're taking. Chelsea folds the letter. Slides it back into the envelope. Before she can say another word, a pickup truck races through the front gate so fast that gravel explodes beneath its tires. The driver jumps out before the engine stops. It's Elias. His face is completely drained of color. He can barely catch his breath. Chelsea! She immediately knows something is terribly wrong. What happened? Elias struggles to speak, then finally forces the words out. They're blaming Titan. He swallows hard. To hide what Logan really did, Elias can barely breathe. His hands are shaking. Not from age. From anger. They're blaming Titan. To hide what Logan really did. Every sound inside the stable disappears. Chelsea stares at him. What are you talking about? Elias bends over, trying to catch his breath. The inspection is over. And they're telling everyone Titan became aggressive, that he caused the accident. Chelsea feels her stomach turn. No. They're saying he kicked through a divider, panicked the other horses, and started the chain reaction. Rebecca slams a clipboard onto the table. That's impossible. I know. I treated every injury. She looks directly at Elias. What aren't they saying? Elias finally straightens. They replaced the trailer. Silence. Chelsea frowns. What trailer? The damaged one. They hauled it away yesterday morning. Rebecca immediately understands. They destroyed the evidence. Elias nods. They brought in another trailer. The inspectors never saw the broken partitions. Chelsea's jaw tightens. So they're sacrificing Titan. Elias lowers his eyes. They're sacrificing the only witness that can't speak. Chelsea doesn't answer. She walks outside. The evening air is heavy. She stares across Evelyn's pasture while her thoughts race. Titan spent 20 years carrying children, teaching beginners, winning competitions, saving the ranch's reputation more times than anyone could count. Now, the same family that used his image in every advertisement is calling him dangerous, not because it's true, because it's convenient. Rebecca joins her. They're cornered. Chelsea nods slowly. I know. They'll keep lying. I know. Rebecca studies her face. You look too calm. Chelsea finally speaks. I'm done defending myself. Rebecca waits. But I won't let them destroy him. The next morning, Hayes Ranch publishes an official statement. Recent events were caused by an unpredictable behavioral incident involving one horse. No names, no responsibility, just carefully chosen words. Within an hour, local newspapers repeat the story. Social media fills with comments. Animals are unpredictable. Sometimes accidents happen. Poor management had nothing to do with it. Chelsea closes the article. She doesn't feel angry anymore. She feels disappointed because she recognizes the strategy. Her parents aren't trying to convince experts. They're trying to convince people who don't know horses, people who have never stepped inside a stable, people who will never question the story. That afternoon, Victor Nolan returns. This time, alone. He finds Chelsea repairing a fence. You read the statement. She doesn't even look up. Everyone did. What do you think? I think lies need constant maintenance. Victor smiles faintly. And truth. It survives without rehearsals. He folds his arms. You could answer publicly. I could. You won't. Chelsea drives another nail into the wood. No. Why? Because arguing with them keeps me tied to them. Victor watches her for several seconds. You surprise me. I disappoint a lot of people. You disappoint the ones who expected revenge. Chelsea finally looks at him. They're confusing revenge with obsession. Victor says nothing. Instead, he reaches into his truck. He removes a worn leather binder, places it on the fence. What is this? Entries from the National Equine Performance Invitational. Chelsea blinks. The Invitational. The biggest independent competition in the region. The one every serious trainer dreams about. She looks back at him. I can't afford that. I didn't ask if you could. I asked if you're ready. Chelsea opens the binder. Registration closes. In 5 days. She almost laughs. You're serious. I've never been more serious. She slowly closes the binder again. I only have 6 horses. You only need 1. That night, Chelsea walks every stall alone. One by one, she watches each horse sleep. Some are too young. Others aren't conditioned. A few lack experience. Then she stops. At the last stall, a chestnut gelding quietly lifts his head. He doesn't move. He simply watches her. His name is Atlas. 7 years old. Strong. Patient. Exceptionally intelligent. Not the fastest horse she's ever trained, but the one that never quits. Chelsea rests her forehead against the stall door. What do you think? Atlas nudges the wood softly. Rebecca appears behind her. I knew you'd stop here. Chelsea smiles. He still isn't ready. Rebecca shrugs. Neither were you. Silence. You've spent your whole life making champions for someone else's name. She looks at Atlas. What if, this time, the ribbon has yours on it? Chelsea doesn't answer. Because for the first time, the dream doesn't feel impossible. It feels terrifying. Across town, Douglas sits alone inside his office. The phone hasn't stopped ringing all day. Another canceled contract. Another disappointed client. Another invoice. Rose walks in carrying a folder. They rejected the insurance claim. Douglas rubs his forehead. I know. They're investigating negligence. He closes his eyes. We're running out of cash. Rose hesitates, then quietly says, There's another problem. What now? She slides a brochure across the desk. Douglas reads the title. National Equine Performance Invitational. His expression hardens. Why are you showing me this? Rose answers without emotion. Chelsea registered. The room falls silent. Douglas looks at the application again. Then at the listed horse. Atlas. Not a famous champion. Not an expensive bloodline. Just a horse almost nobody outside the local circuit has ever heard of. Douglas lets out a dry laugh. She actually thinks she can compete. Rose doesn't laugh back. No. I think she believes she can win. Douglas dismisses the idea with a wave. Until Rose quietly adds one final sentence. Victor Nolan signed as her sponsor. For the first time in weeks, the color drains from Douglas's face. Because he finally understands. Chelsea isn't trying to take back the past anymore. She's building a future that no longer needs the Hayes family at all. The registration becomes official. 3 days later, Chelsea receives the confirmation email. Entry accepted. She reads it twice, then closes her laptop. No celebration. No victory speech. Just another morning of work. Atlas still needs training. The fences still need repairs. The stalls still need cleaning. Dreams don't feed horses. Work does. By the end of the week, word has spread through the equestrian community. Chelsea Hayes is competing. Not for Hayes Ranch. Not for her family. For herself. Most people are curious. Some are excited. Others think she's making a mistake. Logan hears about it the same afternoon. He laughs. Then he stops laughing after checking the list of sponsors. Victor Nolan. Rebecca Quinn. Evelyn Carter. 3 respected names. Standing behind the sister he spent his whole life mocking. For the first time, he feels something unfamiliar. Fear. That evening, Douglas storms into Logan's office. You said she'd disappear. I thought she would. You thought. Douglas throws the competition brochure onto the desk. If she wins, everyone will remember what we did. Logan pushes the brochure aside. She won't win. You don't know that. I do. Douglas leans forward. How? A slow smile appears on Logan's face. Because she can't compete. Without a horse. The following morning, Chelsea arrives before sunrise. Everything feels normal. Until she reaches Atlas's stall. The door is open. Her heart stops. The stall is empty. The lead rope hangs from the latch, cut cleanly in half. Chelsea! Rebecca's voice echoes through the stable. They search every paddock, every pasture, every storage building. Nothing. Atlas is gone. Evelyn calls the sheriff. Rebecca checks nearby roads. Stable hands spread out in every direction. Hours pass. No tracks. No trailer marks. No witnesses. Only silence. Chelsea kneels inside the empty stall. Her hand rests on the fresh-cut rope. Not torn. Not broken. Cut. Someone planned this. By noon, Victor arrives. He doesn't ask questions. He studies the rope for only a few seconds. Then quietly says, "This wasn't about stealing a horse." Chelsea looks up. "No. They're stealing time." He points toward the calendar hanging on the wall. The competition begins in 11 days. Every hour matters now. Every training session lost. Help someone else. Victor continues. Who benefits? Chelsea already knows. She simply refuses to say the name aloud. Late that afternoon, the sheriff returns. No security cameras. No witnesses. No usable tire tracks. "I'm sorry." Chelsea thanks him anyway. After he leaves, Rebecca sits beside her. "You don't actually think Atlas ran away?" "No." "You think someone took him?" Chelsea nods once. Rebecca whispers, "So do I." Night falls. No one goes home. Lanterns illuminate the property. People from neighboring farms begin arriving voluntarily. Not because someone asks. Because they know Chelsea. Horse owners. Former clients. Friends she never realized she had. They organize search groups. Someone brings food. Another brings fuel. Another offers drones. Chelsea looks around in disbelief. A month ago, she believed she had lost everything. Now, dozens of people are standing beside her. Not because of the Hayes name. Because of hers. Just after midnight, Elias's phone rings. He answers. Listens. His expression changes immediately. What? Everyone turns toward him. He slowly lowers the phone. I know where Atlas is. Chelsea is already walking toward him. Where? He wasn't stolen to be sold. Another pause. He was taken. To Hayes Ranch. Every conversation stops. Rebecca looks stunned. They actually brought him there? Elias nods. The caller works nearby. They saw Atlas inside the old quarantine barn. Chelsea feels anger rise for the first time in weeks. Not because they took her horse. Because she finally understands why. If Atlas is injured, she can't compete. If she can't compete, the Hayes family keeps their reputation. Logan isn't trying to win. He's trying to make sure she never gets the chance. Victor quietly steps beside Chelsea. This is your decision. She doesn't hesitate. I'm getting him back. Victor studies her face. No. I'm asking something else. Chelsea frowns. What? When you walk through those gates tomorrow, are you going there as someone's daughter? Or as someone's competitor? The question lingers between them. Because the answer will decide everything that happens next. And for the first time since leaving the ranch, Chelsea realizes she isn't going back to reclaim her past. She's walking in to confront the people who are terrified of her future. The sun hasn't risen yet. A thin layer of fog hangs over the entrance to Hayes Ranch. Chelsea parks across the road. She doesn't rush. She doesn't storm through the gates. She simply watches. For years, this place controlled every decision she made. Every holiday, every birthday, every dream. Today, it's just another property. Victor pulls up beside her. You don't have to prove anything. I'm not here to prove anything. Then why are you here? Chelsea looks through the windshield. I'm here because Atlas trusts me, and he doesn't deserve to pay for their fear. Victor nods once. Good, because that answer has nothing to do with revenge. The front gate is already open. Rebecca, Elias, Evelyn, 3 sheriff's deputies, and 2 representatives from the National Equine Performance Invitational arrive minutes later. Not because Chelsea called them, because Victor did. Quietly, the moment Atlas disappeared. No drama, no accusations, just witnesses. Chelsea walks toward the stable. Douglas steps outside. His face hardens immediately. You have no right to be here. Chelsea stops a few feet away. My horse does. Douglas laughs. Your horse. You abandoned this family. You abandoned this ranch. You don't get to come back making demands. Chelsea doesn't answer. She simply turns toward one of the deputies. I'd like permission to retrieve my registered competition horse. The deputy nods. We're here to keep the peace. Douglas suddenly realizes he can't throw her out. Not today. Not in front of officials. Not in front of Victor Nolan. His control slips another inch. Logan appears moments later, still wearing expensive riding clothes, still smiling. You really think Atlas belongs to you? Chelsea finally looks at him. I know he does. Logan folds his arms. Can you prove it? Before Chelsea can answer, Rebecca quietly steps forward. I can. She hands the officials a folder. Not lawsuits, not ownership papers, medical records, vaccination logs, microchip registration, competition enrollment, treatment history. Every single document lists the same primary trainer, Chelsea Hayes. The official scans the pages, then looks toward Logan. When did this horse become part of Hayes Ranch's active program? Logan hesitates. Douglas answers instead. Recently. The official flips another page. Interesting. The microchip was updated 2 days after the reported disappearance. Silence. Complete silence. The deputy slowly turns toward Logan. You registered someone else's horse. After it disappeared, Logan opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. For the first time, his confidence completely disappears. Chelsea walks past everyone, straight toward the quarantine barn. Atlas is standing inside. His ears immediately lift. He lets out one deep, familiar nicker. Chelsea closes her eyes. There you are. She opens the stall. Atlas walks directly to her. No hesitation. No fear. No commands. He rests his head against her shoulder exactly the way he has since he was a colt. The officials watch quietly. One of them smiles. I don't think the horse is confused about who he belongs with. Even Douglas lowers his eyes. Because there isn't a single argument powerful enough to erase what everyone just witnessed. Trust can't be forged. It has to be earned. 3 weeks later, the National Equine Performance Invitational begins. Thousands of spectators fill the grandstands. Dozens of elite trainers arrive from across the country. Chelsea has never competed on a stage this large. Atlas walks beside her calmly. Victor says only 4 words. You already belong here. Across the warm-up arena, Logan notices them. His smile is gone. Hayes Ranch is here too. But everything feels different. The crowd isn't gathering around his family's banner. They're watching Chelsea, the woman everyone had dismissed. has become the story everyone wants to see. The final event begins. Atlas isn't the fastest horse. Everyone knows it, but speed isn't enough. Precision matters. Communication matters. Trust matters. Chelsea guides him through the first obstacle flawlessly. The second. The third. The arena falls strangely quiet. People stop talking. Because they're watching something that can't be trained in a few weeks. They're watching years of partnership, years of patience, years of choosing the horse before the trophy. When they cross the final marker, the scoreboard lights up. First place. Chelsea doesn't scream. She doesn't throw her helmet. She simply wraps both arms around Atlas's neck. Because this victory was never about defeating Logan. It was about proving to herself that everything her family tried to take had never actually belonged to them. 6 months later, Hayes Ranch officially closes, not because Chelsea bought it, not because she destroyed it, because years of arrogance finally caught up with it. The property is divided and sold. The famous Hayes name disappears from the equestrian world. Chelsea never makes an offer. She doesn't want the ranch. She never did. What she wanted was the chance to build something honest. Victor eventually becomes her business partner. Rebecca joins the practice full-time. Evelyn manages the growing facility. Elias finally retires, surrounded by horses instead of chaos. One quiet autumn afternoon, Chelsea hangs the little birdhouse beside the entrance to her own stable. The same one her mother mocked. The same one everyone laughed at. She finally opens it. Inside, there isn't money. There isn't a hidden deed. There isn't a secret inheritance. Only a folded piece of yellowed paper, written decades earlier, in faded handwriting. A good home is never measured by its size, only by the life it protects. There is no signature. Chelsea smiles anyway. She doesn't need one. She gently hangs the birdhouse above the stable door. Every horse that enters passes beneath it. Every rider asks about it. And every single time, Chelsea tells the same story. Not about the ranch. Not about her parents. Not about revenge. She tells them about the day her family gave her the smallest gift they could imagine. Without realizing, they had also given her the first piece of a life they would never be able to take away.